There was this story once that involved hate but also a plan from God, and that young man was 17, who was tending the flock and was given a beautiful robe from his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of the other sons because he had been born to his father in his old age, and he made an ornate robe for him. When his brothers saw that his father loved him more than them, they were filled with anger and couldn't even say a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us?" And they hated him all more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he said, "I had another dream," and he told his brothers. Listen, he said, "The sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Now his brothers were grazing their father's flocks near Shechem, and Israel said to Joseph, "Your brother are grazing the flocks near Shechem. Come, I'm going to send you to them." "Very well," he replied. So he said to him, "Go and see if all is good with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me." Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived in Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fields and asked him, "What are you looking for?" He replied, "I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks?" "They have moved on from here," the man answered. "I heard them say, 'Let's go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan. But when the brothers saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said to each other. "Come now, let's kill him and throw him in one of these cisterns and say a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams." Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and took him and threw him into an empty cistern. As they sat down to eat their meal, they looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with products like spices, balm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to Egypt. "Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our flesh and blood," his brothers agreed. So when Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites. When Reuben returned to the cistern and saw that Joseph was gone, he tore his clothes. He went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there." They got Joseph's robe,
"Where can I
slaughtered
turn
a goat,
now?"
and dipped the robe into the goat's blood. They took the ornate robe back to his father and said, "We found this examined to see whether it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe." Joseph had surely been torn to pieces. Jacob tore his clothes, put on a sack of cloth, and mourned for many days. All his sons and daughter tried to comfort him, but he refused. "No," he said, "I will continue to mourn until I join my son in the grave." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of the Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. This story teaches how favoritism can lead to situations such as this one, and how his brothers' jealous lead to a tragic action that they made, but also shows God's plan he had for Joseph, and how someone harmful action they made for you might be a way different plan of what God has planned for you, and reveling God's grace and redemption for Joseph, even in the face of betrayal.